Welcome to Northwest Profiles, a look at people, places, and events of interest in the inland Northwest.
The woodcutter refuses to chop down the neem. The neem refuses to pester the crow refuses to give me my rice, and therefore, my little ones are weeping.
Performers from one culture play to an audience in a different culture. Flanked by craters from recent bombings, Calgary's Bob Greenwood and Dana Leubke portray ancient folk tales, which are savored by this war-weary audience in Croatia. Bob and Dana are the principal members of an Alberta company called Sun Ergos.
No! This is the way I make my living!
Sun Ergos is a company of theater and dance. Sun Ergos is a Greek word. It means working together.
The concept of working together is conspicuous in Sun Ergos. Bob contributes his training in classical theater, while Dana brings his experience in dance with companies like the Royal Winnipeg Ballet. Together they research stories, write scripts, and create costumes, masks, sets, and lighting. Then they present their works, which feature cross-cultural themes.
There is a tendency in Canada, because it is so large, to have pockets of culture. They love to call it a cultural mosaic here. Well, that's fine, but you've got to have some grout to hold it together. The fact is that there is an enormous amount of human resources and culture here. It just needs to be exposed to each other and understood among all of the people. And so that's what we really try to do.
That's what we see theater as doing, is really, theater is about giving. And so this is not something that we just do in Canada, but all over the world.
Established in 1977, Sun Ergos is the oldest theater and dance company in Alberta. It was started shortly after Dana and Bob were introduced to each other by a mutual friend.
When we met each other, we were both interested in each other's art forms, and we thought, why don't we put them together and see, or put our talents together and see what we can come up with.
They formed a group of 6 players and traveled to Edinburgh, Scotland. The performing schedule was too rigorous for the others in the troupe, so they quit. The next year, Dana and Bob decided to return to Edinburgh as a 2-man troupe. They found the challenge very enjoyable.
And actually, we had a lot of support from that, from some critics in London who had seen the work in Edinburgh and who felt that we really should explore how 2 people can make many different kinds of things work. Aha! Now that's the problem, isn't it? Because that's exactly what happened to me there. I didn't go around far enough. So I've got to come around and then come to here to come out here. So that opens it up.
Since Bob and Dana couldn't fully train one another in their respective arts, they have endeavored to blend their unique talents.
It adds texture because you're not all just going down the same road the same way. When you start juxtaposing these different ideas, when you find the places where they meet, oftentimes there's an intensity there that doesn't happen when you both go on the same way the whole time, and it just kind of gets monotonous.
Spacing, take 1 step back.
If I do...
Take 1 step downstage, 1 step to the corner, 1 step upstage corner. So we make a big circle.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, we don't work with other theater designers. We will go to a painter. We will go to a sculptor. We will go to a carpenter rather than a stage technician. And the reason for that is not because we don't trust all these other people. It's just because the perspective is different.
We find that there's another kind of richness that happens when you're dealing with an actual object that an artist has created with their own artistic expression in mind. Then you have to deal with that, and it may change the way you do what you're doing, which we find exciting. Because if it's just created specifically for you, just the right shape and the color and everything as you visualize it, that doesn't challenge you at all. But when somebody comes up with their own thing, you suddenly you get an energy off that, and you have to deal with it.
Each show takes at least a year to research, and sometimes 3 to 4 years to develop.
But the lion, you see, he had a plot all on his own, and he made his own decisions.
Sun Ergos takes its work around the world, performing in over 15 countries in North America, Europe, and Asia.
We've always loved the richness and the variety of expression in different cultures throughout the world. And one of the things that we wanted to do was to express that and share that with people in such a way that they would start to appreciate the fact that the differences are really something not to be afraid of between cultures, but there's something to celebrate.
When taking things overseas, we will take cultures from here and exchange. But what they see over there are ideas from their own stories in cultures over here. And then that makes them begin to see that there are links with all
That's happened
people.
so many times.
I built this kucha. I don't care whose kucha was built by you. It's my kucha now.
What I think has to happen in all countries is people have to start looking out. And right now we're in this period where nationalism is becoming so important to everyone that it's becoming ultra-nationalist, and that's very, very closing off. And what we're saying is, no, don't do that. See all of this possibilities, all this richness.
The technique I am going to teach you is very simple,
Technika, ktorú vás idem naučiť, je veľmi jednoduchá.
but deadly. Okay? You understand? Deadly.
Naozaj vážna.
Besides performing, Bob and Dana give workshops in dance and theater, often overseas.
Táto zvláštna technika nie je hra.
This is a technique. It's like a key.
Táto technika je ako kľúč.
Klooch, we learned that. Yes. So that you have the key to your own emotional fire
Máte
case.
The goal of the workshops is to let students discover their own inner tools for expression.
Because there is no one way in order to make theater or dance happen.
When we do workshops, we usually work at a more basic level, which we feel can have more profound effect on the end result. So we work on the level of dealing with of grounding and centering a person as an artist. We deal with very basic things like balance, breathing, and how to actually get at emotions and being able to express them with control.
Dana and Bob believe that each student must nurture their individual creativity.
But what our educational system and our societal system has done is sort of beat that out of us and try to make us very malleable so that we're easy to deal with. We don't believe in that. If artists are anything, they're certainly curmudgeons and cantankerous. And I think what we try to encourage is a sort of cantankerous approach to the arts so that the person who really wants it will do it.
At the conclusion of the workshop, Bob and Dana demonstrate the techniques they have been teaching. Bob portrays a man who is physically disabled but mentally normal, and Dana dances the part of a physically normal man who is slowly going insane.
Each of us is on his own particular side of his own particular piece of warbled glass looking out at the world. But inside, we're all normal.
In Sun Ergos, two artists with different backgrounds combine differing styles of performance in order to bring together audiences around the globe.
It's synergy, it's things coming together to work in harmony, and that's what Sun Ergos means.
If you have a topic for Northwest Profiles, send it to KSPS TV, 3911 South Regal, Spokane, Washington, 99223. Northwest Profiles is a presentation of KSPS Public Television.